People who have came close to dying, what were your last thoughts? I was on my deathbed and I thought, man, I wish my mother was here. When I woke up in the ICU, she wasn't. Nor did she care. Edit. Thank you everyone for the internet kindness. It means a lot. 3. Edit 2. You're all great people. What is this idiot doing? Back off truck. Why is my bike above me? Hello sheep. Oh shit. My sister had to see me drown. I felt pretty calm about it though. Your shoe is untied. I said that to my dad before promptly falling down a 20-foot cliff into the underbrush. Broken arm. Fractured skull. Ruptured kidney. Woke up 2 weeks later to my dad saying thanks for letting him know his shoe was untied as he could have tripped. You know your dad spent those entire 2 weeks fantasizing about saying that to you when you finally woke up. Nothing. Blacked out. I almost died in a fiery explosion at my old job. My first thought was I'm gonna look like such an idiot without eyebrows. As I was getting the Heimlich, I remember thinking how embarrassing it would be to die at a Renaissance fair. Edit. It was the day before my 29th birthday, so I also remember being disappointed I wasn't going to make it to 30. Edit 2. Thank you all for the responses. It seems like choking at a Renaissance fair is actually pretty common. If anyone knows a cigar salesman that was working at Scarborough Fair 6 or so years ago, give him my thanks for saving me life. My heart stopped beating for 7 seconds while I was eating dinner in my hospital bed waiting to be discharged. I realized I was going to pass out and put my arm across my plate so I wouldn't fall face first into it. All I could think of was this is gonna make a mess. Glad they took their time with the paperwork. Ended up walking out of there 7 days later with a pacemaker at the age of 46. Edit. Holy shit. Thanks for all the well wishes. I'm 57 and retired now. Still have AFib and can't do much of anything without becoming totally exhausted. Nothing seems to work. Now that I have the time, I don't have the energy to do much at all. Just gonna ride it out and call it a day. Hello. Have you ever had a headache that was so bad? I mean, like call your parents and ask them if you were still on the healthcare plan? Even though you live in Canada and they live in the USA? Yes. I've had this pain. I felt as if my head was going to implode. I was half right. I had a brain clot. Then bleed. So a stroke and an aneurysm all at once. My last thought before I regained consciousness weeks later? I don't want to die in this shitty ground level apartment. Shitty. Wasn't the car that hit me white? Apostrophe. As I'm looking down at a car underneath me. I'd been hit hard enough I bounced up over the car that hit me and had enough air time to clear the second one. Props to the driver of the third vehicle. He must have stood on the damn brakes the moment he saw me because he brought the cement truck to a stop before it got to me. Second time I was hit by a car as a pedestrian. I'm now much more careful crossing streets. Not that it's helped much. I seem to have a car magnet in my ass. I almost died on a mountain last month. The thoughts while I was free soloing the cliff were just I would give anything to be at home safe. That's it? My throat feels weird. My gums are itchy and blackness like a deep sleep. Woke up a bit later. Found out I was allergic to crab the hard way. God, why can't I breathe right now? Just wish I could breathe. Oh, I'm getting tired. Anaphylactic shock. Was run over by a bus last year. My thought when I went under the tires was I was in the process of being electrocuted. Having been working all day atop a scissors lift. The electricians had left a 277 volt line live, and while I was standing and reaching while running the last low voltage run of the job, I contacted their line. I saw the white light at the end of the tunnel. All I knew was throbbing and 60 cycle noise and the white light. My last thought was I wonder if I can tell my knees to unlock. Obviously they did. Since I am here typing this. Severe electrical burns. Still here living the life. 3 times. Once almost drowning deep end of pool at 5. Once trapped under flipped ATV in a river. And once being shot at by a crazy old FCK who thought I was a deer. I thought of my mom crying every time. I thought about how I didn't buy enough pizzas from my favorite pizza place. It's pretty good. But thinking about pizza when you think you're dying is pretty depressing in retrospect. What was that bang sound? Had a stroke last year and was taken to the ER by my brother. The last thing I remember was asking him to take a picture of me with his phone as I must look terrible. After I was admitted. I didn't remember anything other than dreams until late October. And days after I was admitted, when everything was a blank, they induced a coma so that my brain swelling would go down. And I was critical. So I presume I was pretty close to dying then. I should have cut that meatball in half. I was stabbed in the neck by someone robbing my house. I totally thought I was going to die. I hate myself. But I begged the guy who stabbed me to stay because I didn't want to die alone. He said sorry and walked away. That F-King broke my heart. Thankfully he called 911 for me. Who is holding me underwater? I almost passed out. I didn't even know the kid. I can't believe this is how I die. Drunk. Falling off a 30-foot cliff into about 2 feet of water at Lake Havasu. AZ on spring break. It just hurt really bad. Yeah, but imagine how bad it would hurt if you weren't drunk first. Well. FCK. I have something wrong with my health where medications are a hard F-King no for me. ODED on normal dose of albuterol. ODED on normal dose of promethazine. Some other F-Ked up occurrences I don't care to speak about. But anyway. When I ODED on promethazine. My fever shot through the F-King roof. 105-106. And wouldn't go away. I was in and out of consciousness and my wife said I was talking in my sleep a lot. I legitimately. 100%. Without a shred of doubt in my mind thought I was in the middle of a war between us, humans, and F-King elves. I was talking about how we had to split the house with them to prevent another war. Etc. My breathing was F-Ked up. Fever wouldn't go away. I couldn't get up. I couldn't actually sleep. Nothing. So. My last thoughts were. Basically. Hopefully the elves are cool splitting the kitchen cause we need to eat still. Really F-Ked up time. Nearly was run over in a town square when a car decided to go through it. Instead of around it. And went onto the sidewalk. First and only thing to come out of my mouth to my friend next to me before we dove out of the way. I'm gonna die. Honestly. Once with a boulder and once a motorcycle accident. Well. This is gonna hurt. Just looking at these comments. I didn't realize how many people go through some traumatic shit. Hope you all are doing better. I thought I was having a drug overdose. I just remember thinking how disappointed my mum was going to be with me. Weirdly calmed. Mind went quiet. Everything slowed right the FCK down. Afterwards though. Mind screamed. FWIW car accident 100 kph 270 degree spin in front of an 18-wheeler. Across 2 lanes. Down the embankment and slid between 2 concrete drainage pipes. Could have been hit by the truck. Could have rolled. Could have hit the pipes which would have crushed into me. FCK. Why is it getting so hard to breathe? Why is my chest hurting so much? Collapsed lung in the middle of gym class in high school. A little over 10 years ago I had the Wadowmaka heart attack. I spent the first day in the hospital with a balloon pump assisting my heart to help me stay alive until they could perform the surgery the next day. They told my wife that my chances of surviving were only about 20%. I had the priest in. Family. The whole 9 yards. In the morning. As they wheeled me into the operating room. I was doing the Monty Python bit and get the machine that goes ping. In case the administrator comes by with the surgical nurse who was also a MP fan. The look on the surgeon's face was priceless. And I was chuckling as I went under. My last thoughts were we got this. The surgeon later told me that I was the only patient in his entire career that came into his operating room laughing. But that my attitude may have been a large factor in my survival. They will never find me. Almost drowned in Hawaii in a riptide and no one noticed. I was 10. Thankfully I was a very strong swimmer and managed to swim out of it. But I was quite a ways out. The beach was very narrow, close in with rocks on each side. So I basically had to get pitted by a huge wave at the end to get through the last 20 yards. Crawled up on the beach. Literally exhausted. Got yelled at for staying out too long. Edit. As everyone says. Learn riptide and current safety. Don't fight it. And swim sideways if possible. Strongly consider PFDs if you are not a strong swimmer. That doubly applies in rivers. But that's for another day. Unfortunately I don't remember where this was. It was 1988 and I think it was a small hotel beach. Thanks for all the comments and upvotes. My first one over 250 upvotes. Edit 2. Please take your children as early as possible for swimming lessons. I learned when I was 3 or 4 and undoubtedly saved my own life several times by being a strong swimmer. I never got to have my own cat. I was 6 years old. In the hospital with mono and strep and being administered antibiotics that I was having a severe and violent allergic reaction to. Everything was slow and fading and honestly I don't know how I'm still alive. Luck. I guess. I got my cat though. Git. 2. Kitchen. Sugar. Diabetic and hypoglycemia. Woke up on the floor. Freezing. Drenched from sweat. Hypoglycemia does that. With my dog curled around me trying to keep me warm. Luckily. Your liver pumps out glycogen when your blood glucose is low. And it worked out that time. I've never told my husband about it. I need to throw up again? Even though my stomach's empty? Don't worry. It ended up not being enough to kill me. But it did give me pharmacophobia. I hydroplaned about 15 minutes after getting off the phone with my boyfriend. As I spun out into the median. I clenched my eyes shut and I could only see his face. I reckon if I was going to die, at least I'd die thinking of someone who loved me. We had only been dating about for 4 months at the time. But it was basically the moment I knew I would marry him. Almost a decade later. He's still the last thing I see when I close my eyes. The nerd. I pictured my husband coming home to an empty house and I desperately hoped people would reach out and make sure he was okay. Couldn't stand the thought of him being alone. I remember having a piece of food lodged into my throat at a young age. I was standing there thinking, well, this is it, and I just accepted it. I really don't understand it because I'm terrified of death, so I don't get how I just accepted it, but yeah. Edit. This comment blew up and I've never gotten 10k upvotes. I don't want to be one of those comments that thanks everyone for all the upvotes, but it's a weird feeling waking up to 70 Reddit notifications. I was in a fight and I didn't know I was stabbed in the liver and the lung. I walked away with my friend and collapsed in an alley. I remember bleeding out with calming waves of euphoria washing over me and I thought, I've lived enough. I'm okay with this. I blacked out and woke up in the back of an ambulance with waves of immense pain assaulting my body. Dying isn't awful. Surviving is awful. As the car left the road and sailed into the trees, I was a very calm passenger. Oh. So this is how it ends. Interesting. I was at peace because everything was out of my hands. And I was just watching it happen. A little late to the game and I've posted this one before I think. Nurse told me you're going to be here when get back, okay? I just kinda brushed it off with a yeah and then she looked me straight in the eyes and said no. You're going to still be here when I get back. Right? The way she said just rocked me. All I could think was I gotta stay awake. I gotta stay here. I didn't know it at the time but all my organs were crashing. I still credit her for saving my life that night. FCK, am I having a heart attack? There's no way. I'm not thin enough for that. Those are my thoughts as my heart went into palpitations due to severe electrolyte imbalance BC of anorexia. Spoiler alert, I was thin enough. The doctor told me I could have dropped dead at any moment. Took me a while for recovery to click and several hospitalizations, but 6 years later I'm doing pretty good for myself. Everything is so slow and I can't move. In retrospect, I never actually did come close to dying. But I didn't know that. I was flying an airplane. Alone. Over a big lake. Engine started acting up. I radioed it in. Few seconds later came sputtering and then silence. Prop airplanes are loud. The silence is deafening. I clearly said over my comms. Houston flight, this is the 4th of November 9051 Alpha. I've lost my engine. Houston came back. 51 Alpha. Say again. So I did. 51 Alpha repeating. I've lost my engine. There was a brief, but only very brief, moment of panic. After that I did everything I'd been taught and eventually got the plane safely on the ground. So like I said, I never actually was going to die. I guess. But there was that moment where I was sure I'd end up at the bottom of that lake. Honestly though, my thoughts were just how in the FCK do I fix this? Getting over a bad case of bronchitis. I was at my computer when I had a coughing fit so bad my wife tells me I blacked out and stopped breathing. I woke up to her smacking my chest trying to wake me. I remember nothing whatsoever after things went dark. 1 second I was coughing crazily and suddenly lights out. Mine's a little different but I think it still counts. My heart completely stopped and I was technically not alive for a bit. Honestly there were no thoughts. No bright light. Etc. It just felt like nothing. Man. I feel dizzy. Right before I passed out because my heart stopped. Thankfully it started a few seconds later. I tried to commit suicide via drowning in a public pool. I was 8 and short for my age, so I purposely went to the deep end. My last thoughts were, at least daddy won't see this and the rest of my family never pays attention to me, so I'm coming to heaven, God. The lifeguard rescued me just before I passed out and my mother yelled at me for going to the deep end, saying I should have known better and told to sit on the grass for the rest of the day. I was dealing with being sorely abused by her father and I just wanted it to finally end. Edit. I just wanted to thank everyone for the support and well wishes. You all brought tears to my eyes. At 14. I almost drowned after getting caught in the waves on a beach trip. After fighting as hard as I could. Huge mistake. I was lying on the bottom in the sand. I had 2 thoughts. 1. Mom and dad are going to be so mad too. I can't believe that I can't even save myself. Had recently completed a junior life-saving course, which was pool based and didn't cover swimming in the ocean. What I didn't realize was that I had been pushed into shore by the waves and was in 4 feet of water at that point. My friend saw me and pulled me out. I tried to commit via sleeping pills. My last thoughts were just pure relief. If I fall asleep here, I won't wake up. Laying on train tracks. The train was stopped about an hour's walk up. I fell asleep. Then I woke up. My own brother's gonna kill me for real this time. I was in an accident once. They had to shock my heart back as I had flatlined in the ambulance. It all happened so fast and don't really remember anything. There were others in the car. 3 others. We all survived. A friend in the backseat swears I repeatedly yelled "Oshti" after the car had flipped a few times and came to a stop upside down. I have no memory of it at all. I was very sick in high school and began losing consciousness on the school bathroom floor after throwing up and shitting myself. My last thoughts would have been, I hope whoever finds me doesn't realize I shit myself. This ended up happening on several other occasions and it has become a regular part of life. I got hit by a car while crossing a busy street to meet my older sister for pizza when I was 14. She was waiting for me right across the street and I don't know. I didn't look both ways because I was excited to see her or the guy ran a red light. Can't remember. Anyway. I was septic. I remember being so cold and I just wanted to sleep. My baby was 6 days old and I couldn't gather the strength to hold her. I just wanted sleep. I don't remember visitors or anything for 5 days. Oh crap, is that a car? A few years later. Oh crap, is that a car? Yes. I've almost been hit by a car twice. You know what? This isn't that bad. I hope it's not scary for whoever finds me. 2016 was a shitty year. I was choking on a piece of pork rib and thought, I can't believe I'm dying at this loser's birthday party surrounded by strangers. I was driving my car and I got into an accident and flipped it right when the radio changed songs.